Can you imagine that? The company, first time they approach us, and then we only make the investment after 1.5 or 2 years. It's not because we are doing active due diligence for so long. It is maybe the first time we know they are not there yet. As I said, they are not that ready. But they keep us informed on their progress. If they adhere to what they promised at the beginning, we're like, wow, this team had good execution, and this team, achieved the milestone that we were concerned about. I think those kind of behavior to maintain the relationship with the investor or partners is definitely important.
This podcast is brought to you by Med Productions, a science animation studio where we create animations that speak to your audience. Whether they're science professionals, investors, patients, or the general public. Find out more at medproductions.media. What trends in medtech, digital health, or therapeutics are exciting you lately?
Wow, I'm a big fan of digital health because I believe that for healthcare industry, usually it were like couple years or decades delay of how the current technology is used. And I think that the current market is dominated with all the software companies, right? And I think that software to be used in healthcare industry, and digital health is definitely one of the biggest trend there is going on. That is what people call digital therapeutics. What does it mean is people usually take drugs as therapeutics to treat their disease, right? And do you think it's possible for people to just use a software and get their disease treated? For example, if they have diabetes, which means sometimes they have bad diets, if there's an app that you are like addicted to it and keep on informing you that what kind of diet you have to use, I think that would be a good therapy that the patient can have, right? And if the patient has some mental health issues and, need someone to speak with or consult with, and using the application can be a good treatment for them to get out, to move forward. So anyway, I think that digital health product is the trend in the future, and I have a very big faith on it.
All right. There's a lot of investment already going into it.
Yes, they are. But there are a lot that happens during the pandemic time, like 2020, 2021. But there's a peak, and it have going downward ever since. Okay. Because of the reimbursement problem that a lot of digital therapeutics company cannot find their way to being reimbursed. And without reimbursement, it will be very hard for them to scale up, so they cannot grow their revenue.
Right, reimbursement. So you're saying that this digital app, or I guess it has a device as well that is being sold with, right?
Sometimes no. Sometimes with device, sometimes pure software.
So what you're saying is if someone buys this, then the government would reimburse that money?
Yeah, so just like Taiwan, we have national coverage for all the medicine we take, right? And imagine if the treatment become a software.
Yeah.
How the government gonna pay? And yeah, so I think the whole thing is pretty unclear, and a lot of authorities already aware of this situation and are trying to figure out how to solve it. So I think it's not long before the final policy gonna comes out.
Interesting. That's very interesting that I could just buy a digital platform and then get reimbursed because it's health related. So it's actually very interesting.
I think last year, 2024, there are some mental related digital health product got reimbursed already. There's a policy comes out on there's an act comes out to reimburse that product. So I think it will expand from mental health into more and more indications.
Wow, that's in Taiwan?
I think in the US.
In the US.
Yeah.
In the US. I think we should
In Taiwan, there is also I think the reimbursement, what was the name of it? The insurance company?
The NHI, National
NHI,
Health
yeah.
Insurance?
I think NHI, they passed an act or a policy that they will fund it, the company that can support, I think, chronic disease management. And a lot of chronic disease management product are digital health products. So because as long as they can deliver the results, helping people management their chronic disease better, they are able to get that reimbursement from the government. So that is happening in Taiwan already. Yeah.
How do you evaluate risk when looking at an early stage versus late stage company?
Oh, So yeah, I think because Taiwania, we invest in both early stage and late stage, and our due diligence focus on different field when looking into these companies. So for early stage, there are not much to look at, right? There are basically just science and the team. So we put a lot of weight on how the team is experienced, and as we mentioned before, how well they take feedbacks and remain open minded, and also a future transition into the more experienced candidate if they are not that experienced. And the second and the second thing we look at is the science itself. So early stage, we pay a lot of attention on their preclinical data and how they decide their dosing and also their clinical trial design basically. But for a later stage company, they already collected a lot of human data. So we don't need to look that preclinical data focus on that much anymore. We can look into more that how their trial was designed and how the data interpretation looks like. We can look into the primary and secondary endpoints they put during the clinical trial, and except that we will focus more on the finance part, because in the later stage company, they are closer to the market. So they already they already have their market segmentation very clear, that what kind of population is suited for their drugs. So with that clear market segmentation, we're able to calculate their market size. So basically their annual peak sales, we're able to trying to predict. And with that annual peak sales, we can use the discounted cash flow pushback to negotiate with company about their valuation stuff. So anyway, I feel like early stage, the valuation is more like negotiable, but for later stage, it is more, calculated.
When you're looking at a series A or B, do you guys look at the marketing, or does it play any role?
I think instead of marketing stuff, we look in more their marketing skills. It's more about their business development skills, whether because a lot of startups they have to create their own partnerships, and marketing is definitely the method they need or the skills they need to form more partnership, to bring more KOLs on board, endorse their technology. So so we focus more on their mindset of how they develop their business.
Are there specific marketing assets or signals that matter to you at that stage?
I think both early or late stage, I think there is a good, I'm not sure if that answered your question or not, but I feel like it is important for the founders to keep the relationship going on, and, maybe like quarterly having your update their investors or partner on their recent progress. I think that is a very important marketing skills, because for example, a lot of deals that we do in Taiwania, we follow up with the company for more than 1 or 2 years.
All right.
Can you imagine that the company, the first time they approach us, and then we spend after we only make the investment after 1.5 or 2 years.
Oh my God.
It's not because we are doing active due diligence for so long. It is maybe the first time we know they are not there yet. As I said, they are not that ready. But they keep us informed on their progress. If they adhere to what they promised at the beginning, we're like, wow, this team had good execution, and this team, achieved the milestone that we were concerned about. I think those kind of behavior to maintain the relationship with the investor or partners is definitely important market skills.
Wow. Okay, so 1 to 2 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, it happens a lot. A lot of our portfolio, we know we do the first meeting 1 or 2 years in advance.
All right, but then there would be no seed funding. Taiwania doesn't do seed funding then.
Yeah, not to for a biotech, because I work in a biotech team, and usually there's one company we make investment in the pre-series A funding, but definitely no seed funding. But but I think different venture capital have different strategy. For example, like Flagship, this huge VC, they do seed funding. They like to create their own company by themselves. They funded they funded the whole to the company and grow the company, create the stuff with them.
So then founders should really take a look into what these venture capital firms are investing on.
Oh yeah, I think I didn't talk about that. So I will mention that for founders, when they before they do the first pitch, they can research into the investor as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think a good way to do is to look into the portfolio company already, published on the VC's website. So by looking into their portfolio company, you will see, oh, if I fit in their investment strategy or not, and to see all their stages, you will have more grasp of what this VC likes to invest in.
You have worked with a lot of companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned from that experience?
Wow, a lot. I think because as a founder myself, I was always because at my time we only reached the pre-series A stage. So most of the company I'm investing are like Series C, Series B, Series C stage. So for them to able to advance into that part, I already have a lot of respect to them, and they always have some personality trait that I want to learn from as well. So there are a lot that not only their leadership but also how they strategize, the whole company, like developing which asset first and having which asset in the backlog.
What makes cross-border investing between Taiwan and the US challenging or rewarding?
Oh yeah, I think that's a very interesting question because as I mentioned, I supported the fundraising of Taiwania to get a new VC fund set up, and that is also an important investment strategy we have. Is we invest in both Taiwan and the US, right? And I find it rewarding because I was collecting the past few years market trend. So it's like this. For US market, it is more volatile than Taiwan's biotech market. So for example, during the pandemic, the biotech valuation going skyrocket to extremely high, but it crushed like 60-70% from the highest point for in biotech industry. But meanwhile, for Taiwanese for Taiwan's biotech market, it maintained like only a couple percent decrease compared to before. So for Taiwan's biotech market, the bigger index is more stable. So in US, you may get the reward much more than Taiwan's biotech company, but the risk is higher. So what Taiwania did good is for the past couple years, we were still able to maintain good investment return. Is because even though our U.S. portfolio company valuation is not doing very well, but Taiwanese biotech companies maintain a pretty good stock price evaluation. So that's a very interesting strategy, I think.
And that's I don't know if it's gonna be related, but are there any unique opportunities that founders in Taiwan have that they should be paying more attention to?
Yeah, you mean founders? I wouldn't say there are much difference though, but during the conversation with the management team or the CEO, I feel like in the US they get the pitch rhythm better than Taiwanese founders. Sometimes it's totally the same. Something that they are able to pause and check investors' questions, and if not, and also they are more experienced. I think in the US founders, they are more experienced in dealing with institutional investors like Taiwania. So there are quite sometimes when we deal with Taiwanese founders, investors have to kind of teach them what kind of data they need to include in the data room and what kind of document they have to prepare. But that really happens for a US company. They usually get everything set up or everything ready before approaching to us.
And what advice would you give to a Taiwan-based startup when they want to raise funds from internationally?
Yeah, I think again, as mentioned, I think their business development skill is very important. That they participate in the conference, participate on different gathering across the border, right? And right after the conference, it is not like I think they should not expect that these international funding come right after their conversation. They have to know this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? They have to keep the relationship going on, as I mentioned, sharing their progress quarterly or something with the investors or partners. And anyway, I think at the end of the day, if the company is making good progress, and they will stand out eventually.
I'm wondering, how do startup founders reach Taiwania or you?
Oh yeah. So you talk about deal sourcing, right? So there are a lot of deals. They reach out to our boss directly. They shoot email or connect with him through LinkedIn with him directly, and I think our boss will take a quick glimpse, and if it looks good, they will forward it. Him will forward to our investment team, and we will schedule meeting with the company. And for myself, because I was an entrepreneur before, so there are quite some deals they come to me directly or my acquaintance during my entrepreneurial time that they reach out to me directly or through the network. So I think sometimes cold call definitely works, but I think network within my network is definitely more helpful. Or all of us will definitely set up time to meet with the founders if it's through our network. I think referral is definitely one of the top deal sources come from it, because for the company we evaluated and for the company who already make the investment, if they find us, good at during the conversation, they will refer their friends doing as an entrepreneur to us as well. So yeah, a couple of deals that are introduced by our portfolio company, and yeah, we'll take a deeper look definitely.
All right, so mostly referrals, and then LinkedIn, and last would be cold email, I assume.
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn and email. I would say LinkedIn. I would say referral, like networking, and email, and then LinkedIn, I would say.
And is there something that you would wish more founders would know when reaching out to you guys, to investors?
So I think for making investment, definitely, I think for a personal investment or institutional investor, it built on trust, right? You have to trust that person to give your money to, for them to manage. So I think for people to establish trust, it takes time.
All right. So right now, that easy part is done. We're going to do that difficult part, rapid fire questions. What's one scientific breakthrough you wish you could witness in your lifetime?
Alzheimer, because my grandpa got Alzheimer. Yeah, I love my grandpa.
If your portfolio companies had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Let me. I know the rhythm. Just give me a second. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, every founders are building something like pretty impossible, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I just finished a movie. It's a good one.
What's something people are always surprised to learn about you?
Oh, they always surprised to hear my laugh, because my laugh is like,
I think it's normal. I think we all have weird laughs. But
yeah, for real. My father and my brother laugh the same. So if you ever have a dinner with my family, you're like, like all around.
All right. What's your guilty pleasure when you're not reading pitch decks?
Oh, can I say tennis? Like, is it guilty pleasure?
Sure, I guess that could be a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, I love playing tennis. So is it guilty?
I guess we can. I think that's a cop-out answer, but I'll allow it.
And I also play games sometimes. So yeah.
What's one misconception people have about working in venture?
Oh, I think the most misconception is we know everything that we do, or we know the whole industry trend. Well, we just have our thought on it, but we don't know if that's going to happen or not. And we make our bet on it. So anyway.
If your career had a mascot, what animal would it be and why?
As an investment manager, we have to move fast and we have to stay sharp. I would say deer. How about that?
All right. Yeah.
For deer, like they move fast and they stay sharp, right? Yeah. Beautiful.
If you could instantly fix one thing about the biotech system, what would it be?
Oh my God, definitely, reimbursement, right? Make it more equality going on for it. But I think for Taiwan, it's already good enough. But I mean, talking about the U.S. reimbursement landscape, it is a mess, definitely. Yeah.
What's one thing you believed early in your career that you see differently now?
Wow, that's a deep question.
Not a rapid fire?
No, but I know. Earlier in my career, I started my company like right after college, right? I didn't think it through, and I think for people who want to start their business, they cannot think it through, because you just have the impulse to do it directly. So I think now I have I see more downside than I did before. So I think starting my own business become a riskier move compared to before. So yeah, I would say, that entrepreneurial passion or something, but still I want to be an entrepreneur in the future. I feel like that is my lifetime goal, but I wouldn't do it on impulse again. I think I would take more calculated risk.
I guess it makes sense looking at it from the investor's perspective.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming.
Oh yeah, thank you, Victor, for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be on this podcast.
If you liked the episode, feel free to subscribe. It helps us bring in more great guests and share more biotech stories.